Don Skaggs again with Empowered Inventing, where we want to help you help others by taking great ideas, opportunities, innovation, and turning them into real things like products and businesses and licensing agreements. And one of the things I want to talk to you about today is, are you more of an inventor, entrepreneur? Are you that entree inventor we've talked about in some of our other videos? Or do you just kind of want to be a tinkerer inventor? And the reason I say that is there was a very memorable time I had at one of my meetings at the Inventors Council, and we have two Inventors Councils here in Kentucky. We have one in Lexington, one in Louisville. And I had, many years ago, I had one of my inventors, one of the groups, get up, and he was all frustrated. And because we were talking about all the business things that you need to do, and he just got real frustrated at the idea of being an entrepreneur. He didn't like the idea of being an entrepreneur. And he got up and he said, Don, you don't understand, Don. I don't want to be a businessman. I don't want to be a business person. I just like to make things. And, you know, I'll get that a lot. I have a lot of people, a lot of times, they'll say things to me like, well, Don, you don't understand, Don. I am an idea person. You ever hear that one before? I'm an idea person, and I just like coming up with these ideas. And to be perfectly honest, if you've been inventing, if you've been doing this kind of thing any length of time, because, you know, a lot of times I'll have inventors that will come into our workshops, and they'll come in with one idea, and they just think, this is the one, this is the idea, this is the one that's going to make me $1 million. And they come in and they kind of start going through the process, and they start vetting it a little bit, and maybe it looks like it's something that's going to make it, maybe it's not, maybe they have to change it a little bit, maybe they have to discard it and go to something completely different. And that's okay. But along the process, whether they're moving forward with the one they started with or not, usually by the end of about 6 months, they end up coming in. First they've come in with one idea, and they've just got one idea to work on. And after about 6 months or a year, they come back, they always come back and say something like, I've got so many ideas, I just don't know which one to work on now. Because when you start getting into this, and you start thinking creatively, and you come in to all these ideas, and you're hanging around people are important. You're hanging around like-minded people, good people, positive people that are innovative and smart, and they're focusing on getting things done. When you're doing that, the ideas that you have suddenly start to multiply. They start just multiplying like guppies, and it's funny to see. But we all kind of suffer from that, where we all of a sudden have all these ideas, and we don't even know which one to work on first. And that's a whole nother video, by the way. But what I want to talk about is this one guy that got up and he said, I'm an idea person, Don. I just like coming up with ideas. And we all like to come up with ideas, and that's great. But you've got to focus on one. But he said, I don't want to do this business stuff. Don, you just don't understand. I don't want to be a business person. And the people that have told me that over the years, I've always kind of said the same thing, or wanted to say the same thing. And I wish I'd actually thought of this back when this originally happened, because I think it would have been the perfect thing to tell this gentleman. And that's that there's nothing wrong with that. And I always think back to one of our inventors in our group. He was probably the oldest inventor in our inventor group in Kentucky. And his name was George. George was a retired aerospace mechanic. Now, George was one of the most inventive minds and amazing people that I have ever met. In our workshops, and if you're not familiar with how our workshops work, which are different from our meetings in Kentucky, is that we, in our workshop format, we actually all come in under a closed non-disclosure agreement. It's members only. We actually go around the room and we all get to talk about our ideas. Some people just bring in their idea just in their head. Some people bring in a drawing. Some people actually bring in a prototype or a product that's already in production. Some of them are business people. So you know, we get all kinds of different people with all kinds of different inventions that are all along the process, all along the timeline of the process. And George would come in every month to our workshop with a brand new invention. And it's not just an idea he was talking about. No, no, no. He would come in with an actual prototype that he had built. Now, it was usually rubber bands, glue sticks, and duct tape, but it was real, and it really functioned, and it was usually pretty cool. Now, was George ever going to commercialize any of his ideas? Probably not. George was way up in his 80s. George passed away a few years ago, and you know, I still like to honor his memory, and because George was the quintessential tinkerer, inventor. He loved to come up with stuff. He told me one time, he said, "Don, you know, I know I'm probably never going to do anything with these, but you know, maybe I'm going to put them all in a book someday and then just sell the book," which I thought was kind of a neat idea as well. But anyway, if you want to be like George, if you just want to be a tinkerer, if you just want to create things and come up with things, I always tell people the same thing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. However, if anywhere along the timeline of your idea where it intersects with your life, you have in your deepest heart of hearts the slightest inclination, the slightest expectation of money changing hands for your ideas, for your products, for your prototypes, that is called doing business. And you have to understand the business part. Now, maybe you don't like to do the business part. There's parts of the process I'm not good at, I don't like to do. And I farm those parts out. I outsource those parts that I'm not particularly good at. I know I'm going to be a lot slower at. I know I'm not going to be as adept at. But here's the thing. The parts that you're not as adept at, you need to have a really, really, really good understanding. Because if you don't understand the world of the people you're outsourcing to, you're not going to be able to communicate with them. You're not going to be able to understand what they're doing. You're not even going to know if you're getting a good value for what you're paying them. So you have to understand the world. So let's say you're a tinkerer and you want to go out there and outsource the business part. Nothing wrong with that. But you have to understand that world. You have to, again, acquire the wisdom. There's a big difference between wisdom and knowledge, by the way. Knowledge is the acquisition of facts. You can know all kinds of stuff. Knowledge tells you that a tomato is a fruit, but wisdom tells you, gives you better sense to not put it in a fruit salad. So you have to have that wisdom first. You have to understand the world, and you can do that. And there's ways to do that, and we teach that here as well. So anyway, just be sure if you want to be a tinkerer inventor, but you have that expectation of money changing hands, you've got to understand the business process. Again, I'm Don Skaggs, empoweredinventing.com. If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure and subscribe. Like us on social media, like us, follow us, all those usual things and the usual suspects, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Check out our website, empoweredinventing.com, where you can learn, plan, and do just like a lot of our inventors have in the past. And I will look to see you at the next meeting, workshop, maybe on the next online class, or on the next video.